The morning sun cut through the Virginia mist as Maya Chun stepped onto the naval base, her heartbeat drumming against her ribs. At 18, she looked even younger, her frame slight, her face still carrying the softness of adolescence. The concrete felt cold beneath her boots as she approached the training yard where a dozen Navy SEALs stood waiting, their eyes already measuring, already dismissing. "You've got to be kidding me," one of them muttered, loud enough for everyone to hear. Laughter rippled through the group like a wave breaking against rocks. Maya kept walking, her duffel bag slung over her shoulder, her jaw set tight. This wasn't her first time being underestimated. Growing up as the smallest kid in every room, she'd learned early that people's assumptions became her advantage. But now, standing before these warriors who'd survived hell itself, doubt crept in like fog. What if they were right? What if she didn't belong here? But before you judge her chances, let me tell you something that might change your mind about what strength really means. Commander Reeves, a wall of a man with silver threading through his dark hair, stepped forward. His face was carved from stone, weathered by decades of service and secrets he'd never tell. "Miss Chun," he said, his voice neutral but his eyes skeptical. "You understand what you're volunteering for. This isn't some summer camp. We don't give participation trophies here." Maya met his gaze without flinching. "I understand, sir. I'm ready." Another SEAL, built like a refrigerator with a crew cut, snorted. "Ready to quit? Maybe. Give her 2 hours, Commander." She tapped out before lunch. The others nodded, already writing her story before she'd written a single page. The first test was a 12-mile ruck march with 60 pounds of gear. Maya watched the SEALs shoulder their packs, like they weighed nothing, their movements efficient, practiced. She hoisted her own pack, feeling it settle against her spine like a mountain. The weight crushed down, but she thought of her grandfather, who'd carried wounded soldiers through Korea winter. She thought of her mother, who'd worked 3 jobs to keep their family afloat. Strength wasn't always about muscle. Sometimes it was about who you carried in your heart. 3 miles in, her shoulders screamed. 6 miles in, her legs trembled like earthquake ground. The SEALs moved ahead in a loose pack, occasionally glancing back with expressions that said everything. Poor kid, should've stayed home. But Maya didn't stop. She adjusted her breathing, found her rhythm, let the pain become background noise. By mile 10, something shifted. One of the SEALs, a lean man named Torres who'd been particularly vocal about her inadequacy, slowed his pace. He was limping, trying to hide it. But Maya recognized the signs of a rolled ankle. She'd seen it 100 times in track, where she'd competed at state level, despite being told she was too small, too weak, too everything. "You okay?" she asked, pulling alongside him. Torres waved her off. "Fine. Keep moving." But he wasn't fine. His face had gone gray, sweat pouring despite the cool morning. Maya made a split-second decision. She called ahead to the group, signaling a potential injury. The others stopped, annoyance flickering across their faces until they saw Torres properly. Without a word, Maya shifted her own pack, redistributed weight, and took half of Torres's load. "What are you doing?" he asked, pride and pain warring in his voice. "Helping?" she said simply. "Isn't that what teammates do?" The final 2 miles stretched like centuries, but they finished together. When they crossed the line, Torres looked at her differently. So did the others, but the day was far from over. The next test brought them to the pool for underwater navigation and breath hold exercises. This was where Maya knew she'd either prove herself or drown trying. Literally. As she stood at the pool's edge, one of the SEALs smirked. "Hope you had swimming lessons." Kid Maya smiled for the first time that day. "Actually, I did. For 12 years. What they didn't know, what she'd never advertised, was that Maya had been a nationally ranked free diver. While other teenagers scrolled phones, she'd trained her body to function on minimal oxygen, to stay calm when every instinct screamed panic. In the water, size didn't matter. Muscle meant nothing. It was all mental, all about controlling fear and trusting yourself. She dove, and the cold water became her element. Down in the silence, following the underwater course, she felt something close to peace. The weight of judgment lifted. Here, there was only breath, movement, purpose. She surfaced after 3 minutes and 40 seconds, having navigated the entire course on a single breath. The silence on deck was deafening. Commander Reeves checked his stopwatch twice, as if it had malfunctioned. The SEAL, who'd given her 2 hours, stared with his mouth slightly open. Maya pulled herself from the pool, water streaming from her hair, and waited. "Where did you learn that?" Reeves finally asked Maya Srugit. "My dad was a commercial diver. He taught me that panic kills faster than anything else. Control your mind. Control your body. He died in a diving accident when I was 14. I kept training because it kept him alive, in a way." The vulnerability in her voice surprised everyone, maybe even herself. "I'm not here to prove I'm tough. I am here because he always said the strongest people are the ones who show up even when they re-terrified. I'm terrified. Every single day, but I show up anyway." Something fundamental shifted in that moment. Torres stepped forward and extended his hand. "I was wrong about you," he said quietly. "We all were." One by one, the others followed, offering respect earned, not through bravado, but through quiet determination and unexpected grace. Commander Reeves watched this with something that might have been approval. "Miss Chun," he said, "welcome to the team. You've got a lot to learn, but you've also got something that can't be taught." Maya didn't cry, though her eyes burned. She'd carried her father's memory through every painful step, every burning breath. She'd transformed being underestimated from a burden into a weapon. As the sun climbed higher and training continued, she realized that true strength wasn't about being the biggest or the loudest. It was about showing up when everything inside you wanted to quit. It was about helping others, even when you could barely help yourself. It was about diving deep, finding calm in chaos, and surfacing stronger than before. The SEALs had expected her to fail, and in failing to fail, she'd taught them something far more valuable than any exercise could. Sometimes the smallest person in the room carries the biggest lesson. Sometimes the one everyone doubts becomes the one everyone needs.